and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
Buddy. Sit, buddy. Sit.
Good boy.
It's another episode of everybody's favorite show, Buddycast. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while, buddies. I know. Trust me, I missed the show. We've had a lot going on in life. We've had, we're in a new studio, as you can tell. You can probably tell by the echo. We're in a new place. We're happy. And we got a ton of Buddycasts to catch up on. The first one was one that I promised a dear friend of mine. He helped train my dog. He helped train Nugget. He's helped train a bunch of dogs in the Erie area. You know him. You love him. You saw him on an episode of Buddycast before, and now he's back. Our buddy Mike Amann from Lake Erie K9. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for coming back on the show.
I appreciate you having me. I really do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything for a buddy. That's what buddies do.
Yes, sir.
So, buddy, since the last time you've been on Buddycast, which has been a couple of years, give us an update. What's been going on?
Well, we continue to train more and more and more dogs, which I will never complain about. So we're just getting busier and busier and busier. And we still got Gary, our trainer Gary. We still got Tony, who said he was going to retire, but I talked him out of it. So Tony's doing a little bit here, a little bit there. So, yeah.
I was about to say, the day Tony retires is the day I dance on the moon.
I think you're right. He says he will, but you know how those crusty retired cops are. They're crusty on the outside, ooey gooey on the inside.
I'm going to retire. This is my last year. This is your thing. See you tomorrow? Yeah, I'll be here.
Yeah, that's what he said. I said, hey, you want this dog in Northeast? Oh, yeah, I'll take that. German Shepherd? Yeah, I'll take that.
Yep. So is he still doing the, is he still doing the good citizen classes?
Gary primarily does the K9 Good Citizen classes. And I think Tony's helping him a little bit with that. And Gary's also doing, he's doing our agility stuff. We call it tactical maneuvers because we thought agility training sounded boring. He's also doing, like I said, K9 Good Citizen. He has an advanced leash class, and we're doing therapy dogs, and Gary's real big into that too. And Tony's doing the private stuff, more basic obedience or some type of behavior modification stuff. But Tony's kind of doing it just at the building and maybe out towards Northeast and Harbor Creek area.
Solid.
Yeah.
So that gives up a good question for buddies who haven't been here before, who haven't met you. Tell us about your services.
Well, let's see. We started this business probably 8 years ago up here. I did it a little bit in North Carolina when I was a cop down there. I just did it a little bit on the side when I was a K9 officer down there. I did a little private stuff for people I knew. But about 8 years up here. Pre-COVID, we had the grooming shop. We had the dog daycare, and then COVID hit and kind of just crushed a lot of small businesses. So we had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And we kind of took TLC grooming and we took out the whole inside of it. We just made it a big old training building, and it's been working really, really well. We still do private training at people's houses for behavior modifications. We do behavior modifications at our building. We're doing a lot of group classes there. The boot camp, which is pretty popular, the Lake Erie K9 boot camp. That's basic obedience in a group setting. But we do, like I said, we do the agility, we do the K9 Good Citizen classes, we do the therapy dog. We are going to do an advanced special ops class, and I keep telling everybody we will, but we're going to rent a church for that, and we got to wait till it cools down because they don't have air conditioning, and there's no way you want your dog in that big gymnasium with no air conditioning when it's hot like this out. So,
especially with all the dogs in there, not just your
dog.
dog.
Yeah, and I'm like, we did it one year. We're like, no, we're waiting until it cools off.
So give me some statistics. How many dogs do you think you help per year?
Per year, I would tell you right now we're pretty steady at about 75 dogs a month. So we're training about 75 dogs a month. 25 of those are behavior modifications, and the rest would be in group classes like the K9 Good Citizen or the therapy dog or and like I said, we partner with Therapy Dog United. So Gary's actually one of their lead trainers, so both Gary and Tony, very, very knowledgeable, great trainers. So we get a lot of clients and we're very happy about it.
Awesome. So if I bring let's say I adopt a puppy out of the blue, I just decide I need some excitement in my life and I want to bring in a puppy in my life. And I realize, hey, I'm in over my head. I have no idea what I'm doing, which you probably have heard 1,001 times. Tell me what you can do for that puppy.
Well, what we get a lot of time is we call it this dog syndrome, right? Mm-hmm. So we get a lot of people say, Mike, I've had 5 German Shepherds, or I've had 5 pit bulls or 5 poodles, and then I got this dog, right? So they're used to those dogs, and then they got this dog syndrome, and we'll get that phone call. Or, we get hey, I got a new puppy, and I am just lost. Or sometimes we'll get older folks and say, Mike, I'm 70 years old and I got a puppy. Can you tell me why I did that? And I'm like, no, but I can help you with why you did that. So we, from as soon as you get them as a puppy, you want to socialize, and then get them into basic obedience in a group setting. Because a lot of people, they think the obedience they get at home is going to transfer over to any place, anytime. And that is just not the case. What we see a lot is the obedience they get at home doesn't go anywhere else if you don't practice anywhere else but at home. Because at home, they're bored. They've seen it, smelled it, tasted it, licked it, peed on it 1,000,000 times. But then you take them in a group setting where there's other dogs, or in a store, and their dogs they're like, what is this magical place? I'm not listening to anything you say.
Mm-hmm. And from then on, it's not just puppies you can do the basics with, correct?
No, I mean, honestly, the oldest dog we've trained in our, we used to call it puppy boot camp, but then as long as the dog's not reactive to another dog or mean to other dogs, we let older dogs in our basic obedience course. And the oldest dog we had there was 13. He was 13 years old, scared to death of other dogs. We got him in a group setting, and probably in their 6 weeks, 1 hour a week for 6 weeks, after about the 4th week, the dog really started to settle down and he would do obedience, but he was really scared. And a win for them wasn't the sit, to stay the down, but it was doing anything around other dogs. So the socialization aspect of the group class was huge for that dog. So their win was the socialization, not really the sit, the stay, but he did well at it at the end, but it took a few weeks to get him there. So.
And that was my next question. Wins for dogs are so different. Like you mentioned, training doesn't necessarily have to be just getting them to sit, stay, lie down.
Yeah.
A good training course, a good, something like that could be just the fact that when they first came in here, they were having accidents. They were scratching the floor. Yeah. You are not taking me in here, no matter how hard you try. Yeah. Now, by how many weeks do you guys go? 8, 6?
Well, our basic training course, which we call K9 Boot Camp, which is very popular, it is 6 weeks. So it's 1 hour a week for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And and every hour kind of builds on the other hour. So at the end, and dog training is not a quick race. It's a marathon, and they're always learning. You're always training. It's not like riding a bicycle. You're always, if any trainer comes up to you and says, I know it, seen it, got the t-shirt, they're lying, and you need another trainer, because dogs teach me something. Every week I'll see something I didn't expect. And so you're always learning, always trying to apply what you see with other dogs to other dogs. So.
Mm-hmm. And going off that, a win could be as simple, like I said, you were scratching the floor, getting you out of here, all this stuff. By week 6, you're trotting in. I am ready for today. How's my buddy Griffin doing? How's my girlfriend Beefy doing? This is
they actually kind of form their own pack. We usually do about no more than 8 dogs per group class. You don't want too much distraction, but usually the first couple classes are, kind of controlled chaos or just chaos. And then after the second, third class, they settle in. They kind of form their own pack. They're used to seeing those dogs. And we get a lot of other classes. They say, hey, Mike or Gary, I'm going to miss this class. Can I hop in this other class? So I'm like, nope. It's like a new person coming into a prison. All the other prisoners, fresh meat, fresh fish. No, you can't bring you can't bring a new dog into that pack after they've been in there for 3 or 4 weeks, because the other dogs will react to it because they get used to that pack. But I always tell people, the more you get your dog out in public, the more you desensitize them to all that different stimulation. So.
And what comes next? So you go through the puppy, you go through the basic camp, but I want to keep going. What's next?
Well, I would say our intermediate course is kind of based towards the K9 Good Citizen class. So if you get through boot camp and your dog's roughly 6 to 7 months old, you may want to look at the K9 Good Citizen program, because that's kind of geared towards medium, intermediate obedience. And then Gary's doing this advanced leash handler course every so often, so that could be a more advanced type of training. And then at the end we have our special ops, and then we got a bunch of different courses in between the boot camp and other things. But the special ops, like I said, that probably won't be till the fall. And I know I keep promising people that are waiting for it, because we do. We got some night vision, and we kind of give them night vision. We set up like an obstacle course, and the dog has to do things in low light, dim light situations, and you get to see that your dog acts different in low light. We give you a taste of what military canine and police canine handlers go through in dim light situations. We'll set up a bad guy in a building, and you got to go in with your night vision only and your dog, and see if your dog can find that guy before you do. And it's kind of fun stuff like that with night vision. So.
Definitely let me know when that class starts.
Yeah, I will post it on Facebook. Everybody they ask, I said, I'll post it on Facebook. I swear I will.
What is your Facebook page?
Lake Erie K9. Just look up Lake Erie and then a K and a 9. Lake Erie K9 on Facebook.
Lake Erie K9 on Facebook.
And I believe we have LakeErieK9.net too, which is our through the computer, It's our website, LakeErieK9.net.
Perfect. Now, so you've got agility, you've got you're gonna have night courses, you got K9 Good Citizen. So what
special ops?
Yep, special ops.
Advanced leash handler skills. Yeah, we got a bunch of different courses. So, and then we got private training too. I think one of our other most popular private training is behavior modifications. They call us up, say, hey, guys, my dog's trying to bite people. Or trying to bite other dogs, or they call it reactive to dogs or reactive to people, or I have to change my life because of my dog. We try to get them to change the dog for their life, not change their life for their dog. And once you show people that you don't have to live like that, then their eyes get big, and sometimes they get upset because they've been living a certain way because of their dog instead of changing their dog for their pack. You don't have to live like that. There's behavior modification, and most of the times you can make it, if not fix it, you can make it more manageable. It's not always a fixed situation, but sometimes it's you can make it more manageable for sure. But behavior modification is probably one of our other big things.
And that's like a resource of kind of like quick training in a book, but like giving the humans the tools they need rather than just.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I was used to, when I trained military working dogs and police canines, I was used to train the dog one-on-one. And when we first started doing the civilian dogs, I was kind of had that approach, but I didn't get the results that I really wanted. So then we started working on the human aspect of it, and we get into dog psychology a ton. But it's kind of like teach a person to fish, give a person a fish type concept. If we show them how to train their dog, then they don't, not that I don't want them to use us for other classes, but they don't need us so much because they can seamlessly carry on with the training. But our goal is to train the human and show them how to train the dog while they're there. And then they're like, well, you see their eyes open up, and you can see relief come over people's faces sometimes when they know how to fix a situation or make it more manageable because they didn't think they could.
Now, tell me about, you mentioned them earlier in the episode. Tell me about your co-trainers. Tell me a little bit about them. Give us some background about them.
Gary does a lot of other classes as well. He probably does at least 4 or 5 group classes a week, which is a lot, and he averages anywhere between 5 to 8 dogs per class. So he'll do 2 boot camps a week. He might do a couple K9 Good Citizen class. He might do 5 group classes a week. And he's really into agility with his pit bulls. So you know, a lot of people go just to watch a pit bull do agility because they don't think a pit bull can do agility, but they can. They're not as fast as, you know, the fast muscle twitch dogs, but they do just as well. They're just a lot slower. So Gary's really into agility. He's won all these awards with his dog, and plus he's really big into Therapy Dogs United. And both his dogs are certified therapy dogs. He put them through all that training, and he takes them out very, very often. So he's always active with the Therapy Dogs United and going to different places with his dogs. So yeah, and then Tony, retired city K9 cop of like 20 some years. He used to raise German Shepherds. I call him the German Shepherd Whisperer. And because he raised German Shepherds, his police dog was a German Shepherd. Mine was a Belgian Malinois. So we always have this running feud that I think Malinois are better than Shepherds, and he thinks Shepherds are better than Mal. So we always tease each other about that. But yeah, he used to raise Shepherds. His police dog was a Shepherd. And if I tell him we got a Shepherd puppy that someone once trained, he's on it. And so that's his background. And he's been training for years and years and years. But Gary, really, really big into the agility stuff. So yeah, he's got all these awards, and I think his dog's got his own Facebook page actually.
Knowing Gary, I believe that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we didn't touch about. Tell me about therapy dogs. Like, you guys operate a therapy club.
Yeah,
right?
Every so often we'll have a therapy dog class. We do 4 or 5 dogs. The prerequisite for the therapy dog is they got to be 1 year old. They have to have passed the K9 Good Citizen class. And I always recommend, before taking the K9 Good Citizen class, that they come through our basic obedience, because our K9 Good Citizen class is intermediate training of what we went over in basic, K9 boot camp. And I've seen people come in and just try to take the K9 Good Citizen test. We don't really like doing that because I don't see good results with that, because it's intermediate training. It's not your basic run-of-the-mill stuff. But if we set the foundation of K9 boot camp, they usually do fairly well in the K9 Good Citizen class. And as long as they're a year old, as soon as they're done with K9 Good Citizen, they can take our therapy dog course, which is it's 4 weeks, 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. And all they do is we have them do obedience and certain tasks around medical equipment. We have crutches, we have walkers, we have wheelchairs. I have a scooter I make Tony get on. He rides a scooter in front of the other dogs. I have pictures of it, for bribery reasons.
Please share,
yeah.
please.
Oh, yes. But we desensitize them to all that. We actually pull out sound apps. So we have like hospital type sounds to make sure the dogs aren't afraid of that. So the therapy dog course, 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. And I believe that's $100 for the 4 weeks. But after that, and like I said, we partner with Therapy Dogs United. So if they pass that course, then they are therapy dog. They just have to fill out paperwork with Pat Christensen from Therapy Dogs United.
Wonderful. And it kind of like what I'm seeing from this is everything. It's like Legos or a puzzle. Everything builds onto the next thing. Like everything, you got to go through the basics. You got to, even if your dog is, like my dog, smart as a whip, tell him to sit, he'll sit. Tell him to lay down, he'll lay down. No problem. He's still got to go through all those courses, even with kind of like repeating kindergarten basically, to go through to get to the next course where we want him, which is the intermediate training. And then if I want to go further from there, got to go through these first steps.
It's all steps in a process. And just like when I tell everybody when I go do behavior modifications, everything's a puzzle to me. And that's why I don't get sick of training dogs, because every puzzle is different. When I go to someone's house, as soon as I see the human and the dog, I'm looking at their relationship. I'm looking at pack hierarchy. I'm putting pieces of that puzzle together. I even ask people what they do for a living. And some of them are kind of baffled. Why would you ask me? Because I have to get here to get down a leash. Emotions run down a leash. So if I know their background, know who they are a little bit, it helps me get down the leash to get to their dog. And so that's how we really gear our behavior modification. We work on the human. And that's how we have the better results.
Perfect. So can you give me a progress story? Give me a story or one that stands out to you that really shows the impact of your services.
Well, honestly, I'm going to go back to that 13-year-old dog, because that is the dog I've seen probably change the most. We have a couple other stories, but that dog was absolutely, the dad almost had to pull him across the floor to get him in the first K9 boot camp. And then by the second class, he loosened up a little bit. Third class, he was doing a little bit better. Fourth class, he could actually sit and stay and not try to run back to the chair. Fifth class, he was doing obedience, a little nervous. Absolutely, he was nervous. And anxiety is one of the hardest things to work out of a dog. Sometimes you can't make anxiety better. You can just make it more manageable. But by the sixth class, he really, you could tell he's a lot more comfortable. Still had a little anxiety. You know, some dogs need medication just like people do. And some dogs need a thing called a thunder shirt, which helps with anxiety. It just depends on the dog and the situation. That dog, and then I would say our behavior modifications, sometimes we can see results in an hour when they're like, what am I going to learn in an hour? Well, it's not about what the dog learns. It's about what the human learns. And so that's, like I said, I find out who they are, what their background is, so I can get down that leash and fix the dog.
Mm-hmm. Now,
But a lot of behavior modifications within an hour, you know, if the dog's jumping or trying to, you know, and I do use a variety of training tools. And I like positive reinforcement. I like positive reinforcement as much as every other trainer. That's what a lot of other trainers do. But I'm also a balance trainer. So if positive reinforcement doesn't work, what are you left with? If that doesn't work, where do you go? What do you do? I like to find answers. And, you know, I like to fix dogs, not talk about fixing dogs. So if positive reinforcement, the unicorns and fairy dust and rainbows works, I'll use it every day, all day. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And then I ask people, how long you been doing it? And I ask them what the definition of insanity is, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I love positive reinforcement. I think it's the way to go, especially in puppy classes. But, you know, if you have an older dog and it's not working, what do? You want to fix it or talk about fixing it? So we do a lot of different training. We have a lot of different training methods. So.
Mm-hmm. And what are some things you recommend? Like, let's say, you know, hey, the anxiety's still going on, like the separation anxiety is still cracking.
You know, first thing I'd say is check with your vet. You know, it's nature and nurture, right? Maybe you didn't, you know, nurture your dog to be anxious, but nature wired your dog that way. Just like with people, some dogs need medication. So I always say check with your vet, and if you don't like that route, there is a CBD oil for dogs now, and you got to watch where you get it. But there is a CBD oil that a lot of dogs do benefit from. Troyer Farms, the old potato chip factory, they're called farmulatedcbd.com, and it's spelled FARM, farmulatedcbd.com. They have a very good product a lot of clients liked. Nickel Plate Mills on Praise Street. They had a product called Doggywana. Had a lot of clients say, hey, this really helped my dog calm down. And sometimes it's nature and nurture, right? You have to find something to calm the dog down to get to the obedience. And sometimes we'll tell people that, hey, we can't even get to the obedience until we get through the anxiety or make the anxiety better, because it's not always fixable. So.
Mm-hmm. What are some other commonly typed problems that people come in with besides anxiety?
Well, we see a lot of, one of our most common ones are my dog, for behavior modifications, my dog's jumping up the leash, my dog's tugging on the leash, my dog's jumping at the door. They're just they're like a squirrel on crack. You know, they're just a demon, you know, and they pull, they bark at other dogs, they bark at other people. You name it, we've probably had that problem happen. You know, pulling's a big one, and I always like the gentle leader. And honestly, I think the gentle leader is the most gentle way to stop a dog from pulling, because it kind of turns their head back to you. They can't use their body weight and their low center of gravity to pull the heck out of you. And a lot of people like harnesses, and if a harness works, I use it all day long. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my motto. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if a harness doesn't work and they're pulling the heck out of you, that's what Huskies use to mush the sled. They use a harness. And a lot of people are like, oh, but maybe try harness with a clip on the front of their side so it spins the dog and they can't use their forward momentum to pull you. But the gentle leader is probably where I would go first for pulling. Mm-hmm. You know, jumping and things like that. There are sound devices like the ultrasonic trainers that send out a sound that dogs don't like. Pennies in a tin can jar. You know, I've had people tell me they spray their dog with water, and some people don't like that because they think it's mean. But you know, positive, you can redirect them to food treats or positive reinforcement. But if that doesn't work and you've tried it, you might have to try other methods. So.
Mm-hmm. And what's the craziest thing someone's ever brought into you for a behavior modification? Like the Like something that you just like.
I don't know if you want to hear it.
Let's keep it keeping it buddy appropriate or so.
Okay.
You know?
Well, unfortunately, I went out to a large dog call, and they had a Great Dane, a Mastiff, and a King Corso or Connie Corso, and they were fighting. And those are huge animals to fight. And what happens usually is people get a puppy with a large breed, but as the puppy comes of age into adulthood, they don't like being pushed around by the 3 or 4-year-old dog that's been there. And then sometimes that creates conflict. And people put it off. And I always tell people conflict delayed is conflict multiplied, right? So conflict delayed is always conflict multiplied. They make it worse. And I got to this dog's house, and the dog's got anxious and nervous, and anxiety turns into aggression sometimes. And I watched this Dane rip the ear off of the King Corso right in front of me. And I've been there 30 seconds. I had to jump in and try to restrain these big dogs from hurting each other way worse than that. It was pretty nasty. So that's the worst story ever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of the behavior modifications are a lot of dog reactivity or dog aggression. We see that tons and tons and tons.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Let's do more of a lighthearted story now. Like, what's the funniest thing you've ever been brought to? Like,
I did go over to a dog's house where I was teaching mom and dad how to do the obedience. And every time I talked, the dog would bark. Right? I'd start talking, bark, 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 bark. I'd stop talking, he'd stop. And I'd start telling him how to do the obedience. The dog would start barking. And then it would stop again. I'm like, your dog is barking every time I talk. Do you notice that? And they're like, yes, we do. And I could hardly have a conversation. They had to put the dog up and then bring the dog back out. We had to try different methods. So that was, it was funny because he didn't bark any other time when I wasn't talking. So,
awesome. So, on top of being a dog trainer, you also have another career that's really interesting.
Yep. I work at the sheriff's office during the day. So, I do that all day long, and then I train almost every evening. No social life.
Do you see like a mix of the two jobs? Like, do you see like aspects of dog training going into your job at the sheriff's office, or vice versa?
Yeah, in the canine world, police and canine, it depends on the administration, right? If the administration is in the dogs, that department gets the dogs, but that will wane over years, and you have some different admin coming in. And then they don't see a need for a dog. It just depends on the different administrations changing hands. I am trying to talk to sheriff into getting a canine unit. I'm working on that slowly. He's a dog lover. He's a dog lover for sure. So I'm trying to work that angle a little bit. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I can't wait to see it.
I'd love for the sheriff's office to get a canine. Westerville PD's got one. They had one at the airport. Jason Morrell, my buddy, he still has Smoke, his old police canine, and Erie Police are supposed to get a couple. Mm-hmm. I think Mill Creek just got a emotional support dog for the officers, which I think is fantastic. I did talk to one of the officers a few weeks ago. They asked me about it, and I thought it was a great idea. And they went and they implemented it. They got like a dog they take in, for the officers, because it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're petting a dog. Right?
Exactly.
Or riding a motorcycle. It's hard to be in a bad mood when you're doing either one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My brother-in-law would agree with that one.
See?
But that brings up a great point. You can have the toughest job in the world. You can be Mr. Macho at home. You still sometimes just need a good therapy dog, a good, even like the big motorcycle guy still has his little chihuahua at home that greets him and sits him on his lap and he pets or something,
Oh yeah, I see the tough, crusty vets all the time. The veterans. They sometimes have these little unassuming pocket dogs, and it's kind of funny. But hey, if it works for them, it gives it. It's like I said, it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're petting a dog, especially if the dog, is giving you that affection back.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to see. Honestly, I have to take you out when we take Nugget out. We took him out to where my buddies, the Oneaters, were playing last Saturday, and we took him out there, and he was like the entire time he's starting to get up there in age, because the entire time he just gave us that old look of, I would rather be in my crate at home right now sleeping than listening to music. But everyone that came up to pet him, he sat down. He did what we call broken dog, where he slams his head to the ground, puts his butt in the air like it's dead sewn to the carpet, basically.
Broken dog, yeah.
Yep. And he was loving it. The band loved him. The band deemed him their official mascot. Like, we got a band photo with him.
The power of a dog is just, sometimes I just see it like it changes people in the few seconds they're petting it. It's just, you can't underestimate the power of petting a dog.
Absolutely. And especially if it's just a random visit. Like, I remember there would be dogs at my old job, at old jobs, and they would just wander over to me and just be like, hey, just put their head on my lap, and I'd be doing something like social media. I'd be doing something, typing something important, and I just feel, there you go. And my day would get 10 times better just from that little interaction.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, buddy, where can we go to learn more about Lake Erie K9? Where, if someone watches this episode and they
you can find us on Facebook. Just look up Lake Erie K9, and that's Lake Erie, a K and a 9. And then LakeErieK9.net is our website, or you can give us a call or a text, 814-602-8273. And I'll get back to you. Sometimes it takes, everybody says I need a secretary. I will. We got some exciting things coming up. I'm not sure if we're doing them the end of this year or the end of next year, but within the next year, it's going to be something pretty big. But I just don't know if it's happening in this year or in the next year. But we do have some big news. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, so I don't want to give you a peek.
I was about to say, you can't spill the beans a little bit?
I can't yet. And they say never tell everybody your plans right away, right? So it's coming. So, but I'll reach out to you as soon as. It's about dogs and exercise. Because we always say, a tired dog is a good dog. Exercise your demons. Yeah. Tired dog is a good dog. You know that.
Mm-hmm. I have physical evidence in the room because with this new studio comes a big yard for our official mascot Nugget. And my goodness, when we were at the old house, we unfortunately couldn't get him out because we didn't have that big of a yard to play with.
Yeah.
Like that, we had snitchy neighbors who, if we took him out to the field and they saw he was off a leash, the next thing we know, a police officer would be driving by to look at us, things like that.
Yep.
So we wanted to, so having this huge yard with an electric fence, of course, has helped him greatly. Every morning.
Invisible fence.
Yes. Yep. Invisible fence.
Electric fence with razor wire. Invisible fence.
Invisible fence. Thank you. Yeah, he got the invisible fence, and it's worked wonders on him. He honestly got one zap when they did the training with him, when they did the walk around, and he has gone nowhere near it. But we do continue. Like you said, it's progress with the training. We, for about 2 weeks, went around the yard with him, took him, just was on the leash with him. I went on the other side of the flags, shook a flag, screamed no, and you watched for his reaction. I did that until he sat down, and it only took me like 1 or 2 tries. He would sit down and look the other way, like, not going towards it, not doing it. Even playing fetch.
Not going to make me.
Even playing fetch, he'll get close to the ball goes over it, he'll get close to it, hear the beeps, and just sit down or run the other way. Like,
that's awesome. Yeah, so, I do like the invisible fence because dogs have that freedom where they can go play, and you don't need to put thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into a new fence because fencing is expensive. So.
Especially when you have a dog as agile as Nugget that could probably leap that fence with the
absolutely. Yep.
Or your personal favorite, let's dig a tunnel today.
Let's dig a ditch.
Have you seen dogs do that by chance?
Dig. That's once in a while we'll get that. They say my dog just digs. And honestly, if you're not out there, it's hard to fix it. So sometimes we use a training collar for that. And as soon as they start digging, they get in trouble. And then a dog's like, I don't think it's worth it to dig anymore because I get in, just like dogs that eat rabbit poop or, deer poop. Or sometimes if you're not right there, you can't ever fix the problem. So you have to kind of, set up training scenarios where they have a training collar on them. And then if they start doing it, then they get in trouble because some dogs are smart. When you're there, they won't do it. And then when you're not there, they're all gung-ho, so.
Yes, you answered my next question. What about dogs who maybe smell something on the ground and you know where that's going? if something smells really interesting on the ground, they're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, if they're on leash, you could probably redirect them, but off leash
Yeah.
is a different story. Sometimes off leash, we have to use a training collar that can reach out to where they're at, and a lot of training collars come with a vibration mode, and the vibration mode works on a lot of dogs. And it's kind of like a cell phone vibration mode, that they wear, and sometimes that does the trick. Not always, but sometimes that works. If vibration mode works, I'll use it all day, every day. Or if a tone works, electronic tone, I'll use that all day if it works. I like to use what works, whether, the balance training part.
Wonderful. So, buddy, I got 2 more questions with you because we got to put our Buddycast stamp on this episode.
Yeah.
Last time I asked you, what it means to be someone's buddy. This time I'm going to ask you, why do you think buddies are so important nowadays?
Well, especially in law enforcement, you have to watch your 6, right? You have to have someone help you watch your 6, which is your back, because you have 12 o'clock's here, 6 o'clock is your back. I think it's always good to have a partner that can watch your back for you. And so it's always good to have a partner or a buddy to get you through the hard times and watch your back during the tough times. So
I love that answer. You're absolutely right. Someone to have your back.
Yeah.
Watch your
That's
6.
a buddy to me.
The final question I have for you tonight, sir, is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. For anyone out there who wants to be a dog trainer, who wants to go into dog training, who wants to do what you do, give us some advice. Give us some starting points.
Well, I never want to train the competition. No, but I mean, you gotta make that phone ring, right? How do you make the phone ring? You really want to have the credentials, work your way up. Maybe go talk to the local veterinarians, go to the pet stores. You have to advertise. He who advertises most wins. And I try to advertise, some years I advertise more than others, but he who advertises most wins. So you got to advertise, get your name out there, and word of mouth. If you're a good dog trainer, hopefully that gets out there. If you're a bad dog trainer, that'll get out there too. I always ask people, hey, at the end of our training, could you please leave us a review on Google? Because people look at Google reviews. You really got to pay attention. And people, a lot of people, 40% of our clients come from Google. And they just say they look up who got the most reviews and they read all your reviews. And then, like I said, we work for the Anna Shelter a ton. Ruth from the Anna Shelter. And Ruth, Ruth sends us a lot of dogs, and she's very practical. She's very realistic with dog training, and a lot of training. There's a lot of newfangled training that they're not realistic with how you train a dog. Like I said, I love positive reinforcement. I think it's a way to go. It just doesn't always work. And Ruth knows this, and she's very practical and knowledgeable about dogs. So they send us a lot, but it's Google, it's word of mouth. We get a lot of dogs from Anish and veterinarians. We get a lot of veterinarians that send us dogs too. So you just got to get out there and make your name known. It's about your brand. It's about your name. It's about advertising.
Mm-hmm. And what about if someone wants to be a dog trainer for Lake Erie K9?
Well, I would say they'd have to get in contact with us. Every once in a while, it depends. This is it starts out fast. Summer, we are everybody gets new dogs, and like as soon as the weather breaks, right? April, May, the phone rings and rings so much, it's hard to get back to people on time. And it's as slow as when school starts, it starts to slow down a little bit. I guess you just have to catch us at the right time and get into it that way.
Wonderful. Well, buddy, thank you for joining us on another episode of Everybody's Favorite Show. Anything else you want to tell our buddies? Anything else you got that we didn't talk
appreciate you having me. I haven't seen you for a few weeks, and I can't wait till I see you again.
Absolutely. You know it. Hey, we'll have to do lunch one day or something.
My pleasure, for sure.
Mm-hmm. For all my buddies out there, this is my buddy Mike Amann. Please, if you are in need of any dog services, whether it just be, hey, my dog, is begging excessively, or for something major like, hey, my dog's been going after the mailman lately or something like that. Look them up, LakeErieK9.net. Get in touch with my buddy Mike. He'll set you up. He's done wonder for our dogs. He trained my parents' new puppy. You name it.
Yep.
which, by the way, Odie says, hey.
Hey.
So, but we'll catch everybody here. Oh, wait, before we go, I have to ask you this.
What's that?
What are you going to do for me today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or even next year?
How about I have your 6? Watch your back.
You're going to go out and you're
Be
going to
someone's buddy.
Buddy. There we go. So, but thank you, buddy, for joining us again.
Thank you.
Yes. We'll catch you all next time here on everybody's favorite show.
Well, the days are going fast, buddy, we've got to make them last, buddy, before they've all gone past, buddy, tune in to Buddycast. But don't feel none, it go make it, buddy, here on Buddy.